Hello, Street Fighters and Kung Fu Kings, coming to you live from Bisonopolis in Burbank, California. This is the Film versus Film podcast. I am your host, Quinn Boys, and I am joined, as I am every week, by my fellow bad movie lover and co-host, Leonard Smith Jr.
Yeah, it's Leonard Smith Jr., a.k.a. Leonard Mins. I don't know why I haven't done that joke yet, but we're here to talk about things that... movies that everybody hates, but we love. Everybody probably hated that joke, but I will always love it. We're here with a very special guest today. I mean, he really doesn't need an introduction, but you
should probably introduce him.
But
just
probably
so
should
people
introduce.
Know
it's talking. A podcast. It's a homie, a friend, and just a thick king, Carl Tart.
A thick king.
Thick king.
That's out of all the work that I've done in my life. You're gonna comment on my weight?
Well, I'm gonna let you shout yourself out. I mean, you have so many things that you could shout out. We could shout out White Women. We could shout out Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We could
And
shout
of
out
all
Mad
the many
TV.
things that we could shout out, Leonard chose Thick King.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the highest honor.
the highest honor.
Thank
y'all for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming on, Carl. We really do appreciate it. This week, as Leonard said right off the bat, there's no need to beat around the bush. We are talking about bad movies. That's the prompt this week. Movies that everyone hates, but we love. So Leonard and I picked two films that we love. You know, you can't define love. You love something, and sometimes you love people who are unkind, or you love family members that
if love is wrong, I don't want to be right.
You can't help what you love. So we picked two movies that we love. We submitted them to Carl, who has watched both of them. And he's going to, I'm sure, have some opinions on this movie. If he hates them, maybe that means that we've fulfilled half of the prompt. I mean, this will be an interesting one to interpret.
I feel like he's going to hate my movie. So
when I sent this, I'm not trying to talk about business, but like when I submitted this movie, I think Carl said, "Don't make me watch The Matrix Reloaded again." And I don't know if I'm paraphrasing, I think. So I know that going in, I don't think you were a big fan, Carl. I guess I can talk about my pick first, The Matrix Reloaded. Leonard, you initially said The Matrix Revolutions.
It's the worst film.
But I'm talking about the middle part of the 3-part Matrix trilogy, the much-hyped sequel to 1999's The Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And then this movie, which came out 4 years later, and was kind of like a wet fart. I feel like people were very excited for it. I know I was very excited for it. And I'm not even going to try to summarize the plot. I'll just say, if you know The Matrix, it's more of The Matrix. Neo, Keanu Reeves, is fighting Agent Smith, the bad guy from the first movie. There's more of them this time.
He's no longer an agent. He's Mr.
freed
Smith.
From the system. He's trying to take over the Matrix from the inside. Meanwhile, Keanu Reeves and Trinity and Morpheus, the great Lawrence Fishburne and Carrie-Anne Moss, they're trying to free everybody from the system. But honestly, we don't need to get much deeper into it than that. It's basically just a big, dumb, loud 2-hour action movie that people were excited for. It was much hyped for. I don't think I'm underselling it to say that. And then I think immediately dismissive of, which was a problem because there was another sequel, the third part of the series, coming out just 6 months later. And I think people are like, nah, we're done with this movie. This movie wasn't very good. And I agree. The third one sucks. I remember seeing it in theaters being kind of bummed, thinking like, it's not going to be good. And sure enough, it wasn't. And I think that invalidates the second movie, Reloaded, my pick. But for whatever reason, maybe it's the hype that like holds. I don't know. I do still like and have found myself rewatching The Matrix Reloaded. I think there are some redeeming qualities of it. I'm interested in, before we announce Leonard's pick and go on with it, of just getting thoughts about what you guys thought of it. I'm sure you guys saw this movie. I can't have been introducing either of you guys to this movie for the first time.
I'll let Carl give his thoughts on it.
Nah, so when I sent you that text for the first, when I sent the text saying, please don't make me watch these movies, you have to understand something. One, I'm messing around with you. If you like, listen, I'm not going to yuck your young, King. If you like this movie, you can like this movie all day. You can like this movie all day, all night long. I personally, as you guys have invited me on your film podcast, am not a big movie watcher, to begin with. So when I watch movies, they got to be stuff that like the most recent movie that I've watched fully was the One Night in Miami. And I really enjoyed that for a few reasons. One, I like every single person being portrayed in the film.
Yeah.
So I like Muhammad Ali, I like Malcolm X, I like Sam Cooke, I like Jim Brown. That's one. Two, I like autobiography. I like that type of,
Biopics.
I like biopics and stuff like that. I don't like movies like The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded. I saw The Matrix. The Matrix came out, I was 10 years old. I saw it in the movies. I saw this one in the movies as well. Those are not movies that I rewatch very often. The CGI was just so bad.
Yeah.
He's talking about that one specific scene where he fights 100
All the
Mr.
agents-
Smiths.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they look like Sims.
It looks like PS2.
That's literally
Yeah.
that's what former guest Austin Chris said. It looks like we're watching PS2 footage right now.
Yeah, it looks like a cutscene.
But
I'd say PS3.
There are parts of the story. I watched some review videos of it after just in case y'all go really in depth because I couldn't pay attention very much to the actual movie. And so like I was watching, I was like, let me look at some review things. Let me see what people, and I stumbled upon some videos that the writers of the movie, Wachowski sisters.
Yes.
Is it
Yeah, the
Wachowski?
Wachowski.
Yep.
Yeah. And they were talking about some quotes and stuff and some themes of the movie. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I get that. I thought it was, man. It's hard for somebody who doesn't really like, I'm more of a TV guy.
So did you
on top of
not
being
like
more
these
of a-
movies when you were a kid? You didn't like them either?
Nah.
Okay.
So, but The Matrix Reloaded, I understand. But you're saying also, I mean, I guess you liked it enough to see the sequel, or I don't know, maybe you got dragged along with friends. But when you saw the original Matrix, it didn't blow your mind. I feel like that's one of those classic, like, every kid in college has like a Fight Club poster or like the Matrix. It's like, whoa, you gotta of a certain age. But
I
nothing.
wasn't a kid in college. I was a kid in 5th grade when that movie came out. And I went to go see it with friends, just like I went to go see the second part with friends who do love and appreciate movies like that. But it wasn't for me. I went with friends. That was the first time that I had seen it again since I had went with those friends when I was in the 8th grade.
Wow.
Like,
So you must have forgotten most of it.
yeah, we went to go see it at the Bridge, which is the Howard Hughes Center in Culver City.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we went to go watch this movie at.
I saw this I'm a few years older than both of y'all. I saw it, I think the first one came out when I was like in 8th grade, something like that, maybe 7th grade. And I was all about it. I fucking loved it. I was hyped. I was excited for the second one. I saw the second. I saw the third all in theaters like opening weekend. The third one is ass.
Yeah.
Absolute trash. It's garbage. I love sci-fi shit. Love sci-fi movies, love dystopian society type movies. Just any like movie where humans are in a different situation and just like thinking how they would react than normal society. So like I love the Purge movies. I fuck with those movies heavy. But The Matrix was dope. The second one I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't fuck with action movies. It's like, even though I feel like the second one is eye candy. It's like more of an action movie. There's like a really good story in the first one, and I love it. I love the sci-fi aspect, the mind blown aspect. My mind was blown when I was a kid. Like, oh shit, hold on, it's simulation. We're all batteries. Hold up, but they just shit the bed. The second one I still thought was dope. The action looks great.
Still today when you rewatched it.
When I
or
rewatched
this
it,
week.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it when I watched it. So, I feel like this doesn't maybe necessarily fit the category, but
Interesting.
we'll see.
I would say, I mean, it's like, I feel like the sequels get lumped together as just like, don't waste your time kind of things. Like some people, I don't know, actually people kind of like the second Back to the Future movie, right? But I feel like,
Well, see that when you guys first asked me to be on the pod, you said that we were going to pick sequels that we like, that people don't like, or so. You changed the subject on me.
No,
Did we
that was
flip it on
it was
you?
two different options. It was either you could choose sequels, like the best sequel. I think we put that, and then we put movies you love that everyone hates?
I was gonna pick Back to the Future 2
Oh,
for the sequel.
yeah. Carl was
But I
also gonna submit a movie, and we were gonna watch it. We've never had a guest submit a movie, but we were gonna allow you, but then you didn't. So we were like, all right.
Wait, y'all didn't watch my movie
What was your movie?
for this particular?
Yes.
You didn't watch my movie?
Was it Draft Day?
Yeah.
You said
You said
in
you
the
weren't
text-
gonna choose Draft
We're
Day.
we're referencing this text there a lot, but then you said I was gonna make you guys watch Draft Day, and then you said, but then I saw the level of movie that you guys submitted, and you're like, I gotta think of something else for you guys.
Oh damn! No, I thought y'all had. Well, then we've miscommunicated. Let's revisit this podcast another day. My submission was Draft Day. I was saying I gave y'all a good movie to watch, and y'all gave me trash.
We totally read that wrong. Because last night we were like, are we watching Draft Day? And we were like, no, I don't think we were supposed to
Let's just put all our cards on the table here. We've done this, and this is a train wreck of communication so far. I think we take the brunt of that, but we usually do where we've had guests on season 2. It's been a blast. Where Leonard and I will pick a movie and just debate over what is more accurate. So if we pick best rom-com, and I say Sleeps in Seattle, and Leonard says You've Got Mail, then we just go at it saying which is better, even though those are the same exact movie. And then when we have a guest on, we're like, the guest, you're the judge. You watch both films. You tell us. You let us know. I like younger Tom Hanks, Sleepless in Seattle, or whatever the reason may be. And then when when Carl graciously agreed to be on this podcast, Leonard put us all in a text thread, and Carl's like, I'm going to make you guys watch Draft Day. And I texted Leonard, I'm like, we don't usually have the guest submit just because, for your own sake or the sake of our guest, watching 3 movies in a week or 10 days can be like a pain in the ass, especially if not a big movie guy. But I was like, I think let's watch Draft Day. And let's get into it. I'm maybe we think that Carl picks the best pick, and then I don't have to take an L this week potentially. That'd be fine. But then we were like, all right, maybe because then Carl, you said like, oh, well, I'll give you a worse movie because I think I'm giving you guys too good a movie, and I don't think the movie ever came. So we're like, maybe Carl's like, oh, this isn't how they do it.
This is what I assumed. I assumed Carl listened to the podcast after he sent that text and then realized that he didn't.
Carl's a busy man. He doesn't have time to listen to the podcast.
I'll take responsibility for my lack of communication as well. I thought that y'all were still going to watch Draft Day. And we were all
Damn, I almost watched it too.
I texted Leonard earlier today. I was like, should we watch Draft Day? And he's like, no, Carl's figured it out. This is good.
No, I was, because after when you gave me y'all's 2 picks, I was like, damn. But also I'm a salty movie watcher though, so I was already like,
hey, Draft Day is better than Mamma Mia. So
It's been a mess of a season, Carl. You missed it last week. I gave Leonard for a totally different prompt. I gave him My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and then we sit down to record, and we find out he's watched Mamma Mia. So we had to reschedule the whole thing just because he had the wrong Greek movie in his head. So that's why I'm saying of course, it's never the guest's fault, but I'm going to say it's not my fault either. It's Leonard's fault. Leonard, you're to blame for this.
It's my fault. I set up this whole situation. So, yeah, put the blame on me.
What if we just do a 2-hour break? We come back. We watch Draft Day together.
We're going to get on Twitch, live stream us watching Draft Day.
We'll just add an epilogue to this episode. Leonard and I will watch Draft Day and decide if we can invalidate.
Okay. I like that.
I don't watch Draft Day enough times to tell you that it's better than both of these movies.
Honestly, Draft Day is a movie that interests me because I love sports and shit and like that whole part of the sports dynamic. So I was kind of like, all right, shit, I'll watch Draft Day. And then I didn't.
Draft Day is a movie that interests me because I know who Kevin Costner is. I'm a completist. I've seen Field of Dreams, and I got to see all the Kevin Costner sports movies.
Have you seen The Mailman?
No, of course not.
Anyways.
So let's get back to the movies we did pick. Matrix Reloaded is a jumbled mess. If you like Kung Fu, if you like Keanu Reeves, who's had a nice renaissance since, you might like it. But if you want another fighting movie, you could go to Leonard's pick. Leonard, please, what was your...
Oh, boy. These movies were somehow made like 5 years apart.
I think it was like 8 years apart. But anyway.
Nah.
Matrix Reloaded was 02. And
I'm thinking of the original
94.
Matrix.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the original Matrix.
03, Matrix Reloaded. Anyway.
Yeah, my movie is Street Fighter. Street Fighter, the movie, which I really was wrestling over in my mind if I should have chosen it for the video game podcast.
For which you chose Mortal Kombat.
Which
You've
I
made
chose
me watch
Mortal
Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in the same month.
And I'm going to say this now after watching Street Fighter last night. Mortal Kombat is by far superior
I disagree.
to Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter tried a little too hard to be a real movie. It's just bad. But it's fun. It's entertaining. It's cheesy as fuck. But there's also, some casting of some whitewashing of a few roles in Street Fighter. But, Street Fighter, the video game, it's based on Street Fighter 2. Big movie. Big game, 93, 94. They made it into a movie where Jean-Claude
Van Damme.
Van Damme plays an American Guile, basically like the general of the UN. In the movie, they're the AN.
Yeah.
And they had to find a way to have all these international fighters in the same place, but it's not just strictly a fighting competition. So they made them news crew, the UN soldiers. Then there's Bison,
weapons dealers,
the weapon dealers, weapon thieves. We have M. Bison, the Trump warlord. If he had power, if Trump had powers, he'd be M. Bison. And then all of his minions. And God, they just did a bad job. They could have done a better job, is all I'm going to say. M. Bison takes some hostages, and it threatens to kill them unless he gets $20 billion. And Guile and the AN is like, nah, fuck that. We're coming. We're storming the Capitol, and we're taking over. And they did it. It was a fun time.
I did not realize that Guile was supposed to be American. That's crazy. Because Jean-Claude Van Damme was talking crazy.
It was so wild. And
there's that great shot.
Temporary tattoo.
Yeah. There's that great shot at the end of the movie where he punches Bison, the villain, and he's flexing the bicep, and he's got a big American flag tattoo. That was the first time in the movie. This is like with 15 minutes left. I was like, is this motherfucker supposed to be American? Nothing about him
didn't know that the whole
reads
time?
as American. No.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Carl, did you enjoy this movie? There's no way Carl enjoyed this movie.
Okay, so here's the deal. So when I do watch a movie, I like when it's funny. And this movie has some funny parts in it. And I hadn't seen this movie since I was a really little kid.
Same. It had been a long time since I'd watched it.
Yeah. And then now that I'm older, and I also went and watched some reviews of this too. And this movie's actually got a really fun story. So, like, they could have done better, but the company, Capcom, wanted it out by Christmas, and they pitched it in, like, February.
Wow.
And so they everything had to be done in, like, less than a year. And they casted all these people to try to look like the people from the video game, and because they saw the success of like Super Mario Brothers and Ninja Turtles, and so they wanted to, they were like, we need one of those. We got to get that. Let's get Jean-Claude Van Damme to play American Guile, which I'm just learning now. Like, it is time to kick some ass. We have to kick some ass. Raul Julia. Now, here's the deal. Raul Julia, I know him as Gomez Adams. I think we know him as Gomez Adams. Adams Family's a good movie.
Yeah.
We could have watched that.
Yep.
He's amazing. He's amazing in Bison. Sorry.
He was like he was great as in Bison. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Like when you really watch him as Gomez Adams, you got to give that dude like that movie is just supposed to be like a kids like campy type movie, but he's so good in it. Like he's such a good actor.
He was horny for Morticia.
Morticia.
I believed.
Yeah.
Dude, his
horniness for Morticia was off the chart. But so he was dying while they were filming this movie.
What?
Yeah, it's stomach cancer.
So, and he had just got done with chemo. When they first started, he had just got done with chemo, so he was like real skinny. So they had that big ass suit on him, and he they filmed all like the faraway fight scenes in the beginning, and he wanted to do his own stunts too. So he had just come off of chemo, and he wanted to do his own stunts. And they had all the faraway scenes like filming early in the year. Like they switched around the schedule, and then once he gained a little weight and got a little bit of his strength back, they
Shot the closer scenes.
Yeah, got the closer up scenes.
Closer shots.
Got a little bit of the
Wow.
straight back. And he only did that movie for his sons because his sons were huge fans of the game. And he knew he was dying. So he was just like, I'm gonna do this movie to, like, leave them with this, like, of me.
Wow, that's pretty commendable.
And then, like, but some of the casting was wild in this. Like DJ,
Yeah.
like Miguel Nunez playing DJ. First of all, his Jamaican accent was trash.
He's fucking
And-
125 pounds. 130
Exactly.
pounds.
Is that a playable character in the game? So I have no familiarity with the Street Fighter game,
A lot
so I
of
don't
characters
know.
just are like in the background.
Okay.
They're not even truly
Someone's
part of the
gonna have to
storyline.
explain Blanca to me at some point because I'm still.
Oh, that's one of the worst parts of the movie. That's
Blanca.
the worst. Blanca is the
sounds
worst
like
part
one
of
of
the movie.
Trump's ex-wives. Blanca is not the name of a Hulk creature. It's a.
I don't understand why they just didn't get another actor to play the Blanc. He was the same size, and they put a huge brow on him.
Can we talk about that scene for a minute? So there's a Frankenstein in this movie in Street Fighter. In the beginning of the movie, this movie just starts. By the way, I ordered it on.
Hold on.
What?
So the Matrix Reloaded starts with a fucking explosion.
You listen, I expect you to come after the Matrix Reloaded. My point is, this movie just starts and it's like the AN has like they're going into this city, but Bison, the villain, has already like he's like a crazed ex-military general who's just gone rogue and he's got his own army and he's like cordoned off the city and he's like, this is my turf now. This is Bisonopolis. This is my country. And Jean-Claude Van Damme, who hates the press, he like grabs a reporter's microphone and he goes, "You're not man enough to fight me," or something like that. And then he says to Bison, like, you know, he's having that big like Dr. Evil on the big screen talking to everybody. He's like just talking straight to the villain through the TV. And he goes, "And don't worry, Charlie, we're going to save you." And then Bison's like, "Well, grab this dude out of the list of the group of hostages. Let's terrorize him and torture him to make him a big freakish creature. He's just some normal dude in army fatigues." They strap him down to a chair like what's the movie? Clockwork Orange, and they just show him violent images all day. And for some reason that makes him green and it makes his hair orange and springing out. I'm assuming because he looks like the character from the game, but you
missed the part where
wild.
they brought over 4 bags of Kool-Aid and that was supposed to be the serums that they're shooting
the
inside of
DNA
him.
stuff and the
part that
the
just made me
IVs.
mad was they kept saying his body muscle mass is up 49%, 79. The bitch was the same
It's
size.
the same dude. They just made him
It's
green.
the same exact dude.
They didn't even like do the Lord of the Rings stuff where you just have Gandalf closer to the camera to look bigger. It's just the same dude.
They didn't have a buff dude. They had a skinny dude. The whole Blanca situation was just dumb.
Why is his name Blanca?
That's the name of the character.
All right, fair enough. I think they could have taken creative liberty and
But Gal did Charlie dirty when he was like, "Charlie, we got you."
it's like
Charlie
when
was like, "No."
your mom drops you off at school and is like, "Okay, Leonard, be safe." It's just, don't single this person out now, please. You're going to embarrass them or worse. And in this case, the worst possible thing could have happened.
They had Miklo from Blood In, Blood Out playing Ken.
I was trying to. We were trying to.
I thought that dude looked familiar. The Ken and Ryu are kind of like the main characters, and they're like I recognize them from the game, right? Like that's
Yeah, it's like,
But in the movie, they all had these like weird storylines that don't happen in the game.
yeah.
What was their storyline? They were
Their
selling.
storyline where they were like,
thieves.
yeah, they were like hustlers, thieves, hustlers, hustling people. And
By selling serious arms dealers, they were selling them weapons that were actually
Nerf
they just
guns.
shot tennis balls.
and no
at them.
one murdered them. Like what? But they were just like, we're not going to deal with any political stuff. We're going to fly under the radar and make our own money. We're not worrying about good or bad. We just want to get ours. And then it was like they had to come into their. Ryu wasn't really like that, but Ken was just the ultimate white piece of shit.
I was gonna say Ken seems like he feels what's his name, Johnny Cage or the
Johnny Cage.
from Mortal Kombat role.
Yeah, I just-
of
it
just
was
like
funny,
the
they're like,
overconfident white dude who knows karate.
If one of them's gonna be shitty, it's got to be the white guy.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, this guy has no place in this movie. It doesn't.
But he's a real character.
This discussion brings up an interesting point for me. I could get killed for saying this, but
Uh-oh.
what's the bigger difference? What's the biggest differences between Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat? Mortal Kombat, all the characters are like superhero type. See, I just realized that the girl from Street Fighter is not in Mortal Kombat. What's her name?
Chun-Li?
Chun-Li.
Chun-Li. I would have said that was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Katana.
If you had a gun in my head right now, it was like Chun-Li in Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I'd have been like, Mortal Kombat.
Damn.
I'm gonna put it to Leonard because I'm with you, Carl. These are like the Pepsi and Coke of like fighting games. It's one or the other. It's the same thing.
I played a lot of both of these, so
you know
that
all the differences.
was a little disrespectful. Yeah, I mean, Mortal Kombat is darker, like grittier. Like Street Fighter was more cartoonish as far as the animation.
Okay.
And Mortal Kombat is gore. There's blood. There's spines breaking and bones breaking. There's none of that in Street Fighter. It's just like, ooh. That's like one of the classic
I do remember the
signs.
kind of wobble that the characters would do before you got to like take one more KO hit. Yeah.
That's Mortal Kombat.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, I don't know.
Mortal Kombat has the finish him where you can do fatalities and shit. Street
What is
Fighter doesn't
Hadouken?
have. Hadouken is Street Fighter. Hadouken is Ken and Ryu. Ken and Ryu are basically
They look
the
like they're
same
doing
exact.
the Dragon Ball Z thing.
Yeah.
Is that disrespectful? I don't know. But it, like the Kamehameha.
It was funny how they were they tried to. I just feel like the Street Fighter was so ridiculous, but they tried to stay grounded. So it's like you don't really see any of their crazy movies. They're just like very slight. They're like some of the signature moves are in the movie, but they don't like highlight it.
Can I posit a theory? It feels like, I don't know, like I did read, Carl did some research on this. I did a little myself. It seemed like Jean-Claude Van Damme took up most of their budget, and it's not real. I mean, it is kind of an ensemble movie. There's a bunch of different storylines, but he is he's the guy.
Protagonist.
He's the protagonist. But at times to me it felt like, and I'm not that well versed in Jean-Claude Van Damme movies either, but it felt like they were like, this is a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but then we got to throw a nod to some of the Street Fighter people. Like they did more than that. All the characters are Street Fighter people, but it felt a lot of times just like it could have been like, I don't know, what were other action movies at that time? Like when they made the Stallone Dread movie, like it just felt like a generic 90s action movie a lot.
Yeah. I felt like it needed more Jean-Claude Van Damme. At least doing what he was known for doing, fighting. There wasn't enough Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting. There wasn't enough fighting in the movie for me. They took too long.
They're never fighting on a street.
Yeah, it took too long to get them all together and for the action to start happening. There's like some action, but they just keep teasing the fight. Mm-hmm. Like there's always a fight that's like almost about to happen where they get different characters in different scenarios.
Yeah, that's true.
But then they wait till the end for it to. But I guess that now I can't judge it as harshly as I was, knowing that they pitched this in February and that shit came out in December. So that means they filmed that in like 2 months, 2.5 months, because they had to get all the logistics, all the shit together, then the editing after.
Yeah.
So the fight choreography wasn't that great.
A lot of it was improvised.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
A lot of it was improvised. A lot of the fight choreography was made up on set, where like Jean-Claude Van Damme was like, okay, do this and do that, do that. Also, while being careful because he was fighting a dude who had stomach cancer.
That's wild.
Did you read in your research, Carl, that he's admitted it? So I'm not blowing up his spot. But Jean-Claude Van Damme said he had a $10,000 a week cocaine habit while he was filming this movie.
Wow.
So he would just like go in his trailer. He would like step out when he was ready. Like he was such the number one on the call sheet kind of guy that he was like, fuck all y'all. Like he would just like start when he was ready. Everyone hated him apparently.
I don't think there's anything. If I had money like that, I don't think I have any addiction that I would spend that much money on in 1 week doing. So like, okay,
not
like
buying
something
shoes?
See, I can't spend $10,000 a week on shoes because I would have nowhere to put them, and I love shoes. I just bought another pair yesterday, but I am gonna wear it. Like I'm gonna wear the shoes. You know what I mean?
Oh, he did the cocaine.
Yeah, you're right.
I think he might have been wearing it in some
this is
scenes
all I'm
too. If
saying.
you look under the,
if Gal was in the hood, that's probably about $1,500 worth of cocaine. You know what I'm saying? Like he getting that true market price.
Well, they had to fly it to Thailand. It was probably a high markup getting it to him. So they
probably had good cocaine
Thailand.
over in
Yeah,
Thailand.
that's true.
Oh yeah, he probably had that uncut.
Kylie Minogue was in there.
Oh, she looked so good.
He also said he had an affair with Kylie Minogue during this movie.
I believe that.
He lying on his dick.
They have such a PG relationship in this movie. They like don't even kiss on the cheek at the end.
I know,
but the whole time they're casting doomy vibes with their eyes, but never pays
But
off.
they never. When like she thinks he's dead, he's like, oh shit, man. She would just wish she could just let him hit it one more time. You know what I'm saying?
They said that the movie originally they submitted it to the MPAA. They gave it an R. Then they took all the excessive violence out. They gave it a PG, and then they're like, well, this can't be PG. No kid wants to see, kids who like Street Fighter want to see PG-13. So then they just had Claude Van Damme say like fuck once, and then that got it bumped up to a PG-13. I was like, no, put more of the fights back in.
Yeah, put more of the fights back in. But that makes sense. Why the information? I mean that I just received, that it's not choreographed that well, and there isn't enough fighting in it. And that's why I felt when I was watching that Mortal Kombat was superior as far as like a video game movie where it's like a two-person fighter.
But it's not like they replaced the fighting with talking. It's just a lot of posturing. Like what you're referring to, Leonard, is like in the early scene, Ryu is supposed to fight Vega, who's the dude with the Wolverine claws. And literally, they're about to fight. Like they're in poses. They start advancing, and then an army, a tank, just crashes through the wall and arrests everybody. So it's like the whole movie is it's a blue balls. You're just waiting for these characters to fight. They finally do at the end, but it's kind of anticlimactic at that point.
Huge blue balls. Imagine all those 13-year-old boys in the movie theater beating their meat the whole time to watch a fight scene and never get a chance to do it.
Never get a chance to do it. And then I just want to talk about how that tank busts in. They just bust in and like go like 50 feet. They could have crushed people. They could have killed so many people.
This isn't the UN. It's the AN. They don't give a shit. This is Thailand. Anything goes.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some talking points.
All right. Yeah. So we, Carl, we're going to run by it. We used to do these a little bit more point for point, but I think we can just encapsulate, like talk about them, and it'll create a bigger picture of what we're talking about. But we judge these movies, as Leonard's saying, based on a bunch of talking points. Okay. Pop culture is one, and that's pop cultural influence either at the time or whatever remains today. And then we usually talk about Leonard.
We talk about how well does it hold up.
Thank you. I was forgetting it.
Like maybe like, as far as PC culture, or is it, the way it's shot, the way it's written, anything, however we interpret it, whatever way we want to.
We talk about box office. We got to talk about stats. We talk about reviews, Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. And we've also been doing a segment this year. We take a popular character actor and we ask if they were in this movie. Maybe you get a couple brownie points that way. This season, that actor is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman. We can just get that one out of the way right now if we want.
He is not in either one of these films.
Gary Oldman's not in either of these movies, but I think he would have been a Matrix. He could have been a Matrix villain for sure. I don't know your.
I feel like Gary Oldman could have been in Street Fighter.
Yeah,
he could have been dope in Bison, but I don't know if he would have been old enough at the time. I feel like he could have been a cool Dawson, which is the doctor with the hair, and then at the end he suddenly has no hair
for some reason that they probably just cut that scene out, and we don't know.
No, it's because at the end they make him look like the character. He's Dawson the whole time. You don't realize, and it's like, oh, that's how he becomes that way.
See,
and he's supposed to be an Indian guy, so
I think was that actor not Indian?
Maybe he was.
I don't know.
He just looked white passing to me. So,
well, can we talk about that a little bit too? I know we just went into Gary Oldman, but you brought up the Dawson. When he's like the doctor that is being forced to torture Charlie and make him Blanca, the weird Frankenstein monster that doesn't look that impressive. But like he goes rogue midway through the movie and he starts showing him, instead of awful images like bombs exploding or war images or, that fox decaying that they always show when they show that shit, he switches to good images. And good images that I wrote down were there was a blonde child running through a field. There was a couple getting married, seemingly just a couple, and then there was Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, which they cut to two separate times just to remind him of goodness in the world. And that felt pretty cheesy to me. Maybe that could even be how well does that hold up. I mean, it was kind of cringe watching that in 2021.
Yeah, the whole Blanca situation with the script was just awful.
Just take it out entirely.
Take it out entirely. They needed another. They tried to be too grounded, where they were like, how can we make this Blanca character real in this world? It's like, no, just make him a fucking crazy person that Dyson found in the Amazon or something.
And that's the thing, like Mortal Kombat, which I actually think this movie was more enjoyable than Mortal Kombat, which I hated, but Mortal Kombat, they got a character who's a Cyclops, and no one ever is like, oh, is that a biological deformity? It's like, just make him a Cyclops. This is a movie based on a video game. You don't need to, give me the reasons.
I feel this falls under how well does this hold up. So
all right. So Gary Oldman, He's not in either of these movies. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on Gary Oldman, Carl? I know you're not a big moviegoer, but he
Hold on, let me
obviously
Google
pops
him.
up. He's the Jim Gordon in the Nolan Batman movies, if that's helpful at all. Harry Potter's uncle.
Gary Oldman. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I like that dude.
Do you think his presence would have substantially improved either of these movies? And do you have thoughts on who he would be?
I think if he was in The Matrix, he could have been the architect.
Oh shit, I like that a lot actually.
Ooh.
I don't like the dude that plays the architect. I'm sorry, I was thinking the Merovingian, but I like the architect a lot too. Yeah, that would have been cool.
And I think if he was in Street Fighter, he could have played Ken's dad.
The disappointed dad that turned his son into a hustling thief.
Is that dad in the movie?
No, he just made
I just add that in.
No, I'm all for those deleted scenes. I was just making sure that I didn't miss part of the movie. Maybe I nodded off at some point.
Okay, well, let's talk about pop culture. I mean, I feel like Street Fighter has a chance because as a game, there's still people today who plays like Street Fighter 2, there's Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4 tournaments where people win like $75,000 for winning these tournaments. I was never good at Street Fighter. I'm always.
You know how to button mash?
I'm always a button masher. I don't know the combos. I don't learn that shit. I learn it and then I forget it. What was that, Carl?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm a button masher as well.
Yeah. I've never been one like back A B. There's motherfucking combo.
There are people that will dilute that down to a science, and they can tell you like this person is 0.05% of a better character to play as than this person. And I'm like, that's too much time. These games are not meant for that.
Yeah, bro. That was never my thing. But so Street Fighter as a whole has a huge pop culture influence. I feel like this movie, I don't know.
Nothing. Carl, you mentioned you'd seen this movie when you were younger. Leonard loves this movie.
Yeah.
I had not seen it. I did not recognize outside of the property of the game. I recognize some characters. I know Chun-Li, but like nothing from this movie resonated with me outside the movie. I don't think
Quinn,
there's like a scene or a thought.
Quinn, you know Chun-Li from the Nicki Minaj song, correct?
Correct.
I think the pop culture reference. I think the pop culture for this stands up way higher than The Matrix does.
You think so?
Like, absolutely, 100%. You have to understand, this movie was this bad, but this was a box office smash. Every kid that was that age at that time, I bet you this. If we called Myron right now, I bet you Myron, because this is like his era, of young preteen. I bet you me and Leonard have a mutual friend named Myron, and I guarantee you he was like first night at the movies with a pair of Reebok pumps on watching Street Fighter.
Yeah. His Seattle Supersonics hat on to the back.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true. I mean,
I kind of agree with Carl against a lot. I think a lot of the pop culture from Matrix Reloaded is like we're talking about the Street Fighter.
It's more about
from the game.
Matrix.
It's more
than
about
it
the
is
Matrix. People are
the
still
Matrix
doing
Reloaded.
that bullet time stuff, like Keanu going down to his knees, like back, dodging.
That's the Matrix.
That's the Matrix. Yeah. Like what is maybe the takeaway, and I don't think it's resonated that much, is I think people are generally, if they were fans of the movie or even aware of it at the time, I think that idea of like a million Agent Smiths, that fight scene, which feels very much, the CGI is not great, but it feels very much like a Japanese, like a manga kind of like a
or
fight
like
scene
the Bollywood type.
Yeah,
Bollywood
I
type.
think that was parodied at the time. I remember there was like Timberlake and Sean William Scott, which really dates it. We're hosting the VMA or the VMAs, the MTV Movie Awards, and they did like this whole thing where they parodied that scene. Like it was a little bit, but I don't think the imprint has remained today in 2021. If you show someone that scene, they might be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I remember."
Yeah, I still enjoy it because there's this nostalgic value to it where I'll just love it.
People make fun of the architect too. Sorry, just to throw that in.
The
there.
architect
People would make fun
the
of
Oracle. The like changing of the Oracle.
Just you couldn't understand anything the architect was saying. It's an approximation of a facsimile of a blah blah blah. Like
I feel like the biggest pop culture things from the Matrix is the highway scene.
Yes.
The Agent Smith scene.
Yes.
And those white haired albinos.
What is?
Oh yeah.
The ghosts. The ghosts.
They had the dreadlocks that were like balding. Like
they had the Stevie Wonders.
Yeah.
Those
Those are individuals.
there's that one. Okay, can we? Because if we're most of the reason I submitted this movie, most of the reason I still enjoy watching this movie sometimes. I'm talking like viewing it once every 5 years. I'm not spinning this in my DVD player every other month. It was on, I think, Netflix recently, and I watched it again in quarantine, so I've seen it recently. But it's the freeway chase. There is, in the middle of this movie, like a 20-minute freeway chase. It actually, I'll start it a little bit earlier when Keanu is fighting all the weird, like, dressed in leather Merovingian henchman dudes in that staircase. And then they cut that with the freeway scene, which goes on for like 20 minutes. And I think that's a great action scene. I think that scene lives up to the sequel. Whereas the plot, a lot of the other stuff, lets it down. But if the whole movie was as good as that scene, then it'd be great. I mean, I the ghosts, the changing cars, the agents like trying to crash trucks in, they're fighting on top of a truck at the end. There's a lot of cool, fun stuff. And if you are a 12-year-old kid watching this in the theater like I was pretty amped.
And what's also dope is being a 12-year-old or like a 14, 13, whatever, black kid watching it. Dude, Morpheus is fucking badass.
Morpheus kicks ass, yeah. He's got the katana.
Yeah, because like, you know, they hype him up in the first movie about how he's this legend, but then he gets caught and he doesn't really get to show how great he is. There isn't too many fight scenes.
Yeah, because Neo's not in the freeway scene, which is what makes it so good.
Exactly.
Neo's so powerful, agents can't stop him. This is like, you feel the characters are in danger in this scene.
Exactly, because Neo's the only one who can fight agents, and they like going on the highway is death. I guess maybe they gave him the scene because he got more time to train and like actually get better than being in the first one. But dude, yeah, just seeing him on that fucking truck, just killing it, like
he has a lot of great moments. What was that scene where he just like sidesteps the oncoming car and he like cuts the tires and then like it blows up in slow motion? I don't know. We're nerding out over it. Carl, did this scene do anything for you, or are you like
it did nothing? Full soft.
I was like quoting scenes. I was like saying things before they were about to happen. I fucking love this movie as a kid. That's why I was
Leonard,
like,
I didn't think you'd agree with me when I picked it. I thought you'd be like, I hate the Matrix sequels.
Oh, I love the Matrix.
Okay. I mean, sorry. Keep going. Keep expressing your love.
But I'll say this. Another pop culture scene I feel like because it gets made fun of and it also just doesn't fit in the movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know Carl has thoughts on this scene.
The underground rave.
The rave.
EDM rave.
What the hell is that? The Wachowskis got all my letters saying I need to see nipples busting through mesh shirts, and then I need to see Keanu Reeves' ass at the end of this. Like,
I think they just wanted to see Keanu and Carrie Ann Moss get it on.
That scene
was
doing full soft, Carl? Still
full soft. Up in me.
It was inverted?
It was an innie?
Inverted.
Oh, my God. Well, it's got... So that scene, just to set the scene a little bit, Zion, which is the last city of man, which is like leagues underground because that's where the robots, to this point in the movie, cannot find them. It's the only free city of man. It's where all the unplugged people from the Matrix go. I thought it was cool. Like it is like... The Matrix, it's like you see Morpheus. It feels like something you haven't seen. Like it's another element to the Matrix. The Matrix is a lot of green. It's a lot of cities, but it's nondescript. And this is like a different setting. And so they get there. It's an impressive, I think, introduction of Zion, which we'd heard about in the first movie. They have a big speech about how the machines are going to come for them. They got to get ready for war. And Lawrence Fishburne gives, I think, like a really good pumped up scene. It's like a coach talking to the team. And then for some reason he's like, "We are still here," and then they start playing these big ass drums. No one's got shoes on, and everyone's just grinding up on each other, and it becomes a full rave orgy. I think it's an orgy scene. I don't even know if it's a rave scene. It's a rave that becomes.
They're
an orgy.
all fucking out there.
And meanwhile, Keanu
It
Reeves
just doesn't
and Carrie
fit
Ann
the
Moss
film.
slip away in the
It doesn't fit the film. But seeing that whole underworld and seeing that different part of the Matrix, I always found it interesting.
The Wachowskis had so much clout after the first movie. And the fact that they filmed the sequels back to back, so like if the second one comes out and it's trash, then you're like, hey, rein it in, guys. Can't do that. They filmed them at the same time.
Well,
they were letting their...
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
They were like, we wanted to turn things on their head.
Boy, did they.
Boy, did they.
There's nothing... The first Matrix movie is great. It's not sexual at all. Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss get together at the end. They have good chemistry, but it's not like, I want to see these guys have sex at an orgy. It's a weird interpretation of what people liked about the first movie.
I feel like that goes into how well does it hold up, and I feel like the Matrix. We talked about the PS2 scene. We talked about the orgy scene, which kind of doesn't fit. But I feel like it's funny that I'm arguing for the Matrix, but I feel like the part that holds up for the Matrix is the wardrobe. The wardrobe is dope. Mm-hmm. Like Morpheus in that suit fighting is lit. The whole Matrix wardrobe I feel like is cool and still looks dope to this day.
It starts to get a little bit weird, and then in the third movie, they're full on wearing like sex costumes.
Now, that's what I was just about to say. It looks
like they raided the pleasure chest.
How
and they just
many
cast the movie?
How many kinks did this series start for children? For like
it
adults who didn't, where
know.
they are into all leather and like goddamn, I don't even know. I was just thinking about that when I was watching.
You know, they had like a guy, like what do they call it? Like Foley audio, like where you need to record audio after the fact that you didn't pick up on the mic. And you know, they had a guy just like real close to the mic, just rubbing leather together, because every time someone moves, you hear like a like there's a lot of that leather audio added in.
Okay, I'm gonna say what doesn't hold up in the Street Fighter. Motherfucking Balrog's wig. What the fuck?
That's not his wig. First of all, people like to say that I look like him.
That's disrespectful to you. I call it.
This is very disrespectful.
That's worse than Thick King.
But not Balrog, just the actor that plays him.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
That dude's name is what's that guy's name?
I think that was a hairpiece. At first, I thought it was his hair. They just like cut his hair.
Shaved it down?
Fucked his hairline up. But then there were parts of the movie where I saw where it was like lifted.
This dude has a Dracula widow's peak. For people who haven't seen the movie,
grown-ass black
his
man.
temples start behind his ears. Like it's a...
Google Grandel Bush. He's got a weirder hairline.
Weirder than in the movie?
No, not weirder than in the movie, but just
weirder than normal.
Say his name one more time.
Weirder than normal.
What's his name?
Like he was a Mexican gangbanger in Colors. Like, which has always been weird to me. Like why do they have to include his character in Colors to be in the Mexican gang? Because it's very rare you see black dudes in Mexican gangs.
I was gonna say what?
Yeah. And then, he's been on a lot of stations like Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. But his haircut in the movie is crazy.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's
like,
a real haircut. I think it's a hairpiece, and that shit looks.
I hope for his sake that's
awful.
a wig. Yeah,
it looks like the video game.
Yeah. They tried to make it look like a video game, and it looks. You didn't have to go to that to the extreme.
That's what I mean. Like, we don't need 100% fidelity to the source material when the source material is Street Fighter 2. Like, you can let the guy have normal hair, and we'll understand that he's Balrog. Like, it's an interesting choice.
I enjoyed the source material, the little stuff that they did use, because they couldn't have these like extremely buff people like the video game. Like, for example, like DJ. I keep going back to DJ because Miguel Nunez just wasn't very muscular at all. Like, he could have at least been in the gym. Like, I understand.
He's like comic relief.
Yeah. He kept like giving like what's the big dude's name?
God, I can't believe it.
Zangief. Like, every time Zangief say something, he'd be like,
He gives a lot of side eye.
Yeah, which was a part of it though. All this stuff was a part of it.
Yeah,
I think Street Fighter, for what it was, for as campy as it was, like, it was meant to be of the time.
Exactly.
For teenage boys, like, just like,
which is why it doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, Ninja Turtles, Super Mario Brothers, like, it was supposed to be of that, and I think it accomplished that.
I think it accomplished that too.
A lot of nods to just like pop culture-y type stuff.
And I appreciated the attempts at humor because, this movie taking itself seriously, that's a trapping that maybe The Matrix falls into. The Matrix could have used some of this humor. But like, what was that scene where there's like a weird Departed subplot where they have Jean-Claude Van Damme talks to Ken and Ryu and he goes, "You guys have to pretend to kill me so that you can be in good with," what's the name of the guy with the eye patch?
Sagat.
You can be in with Sagat's gang. And so they do. And then there's that scene where Zangief is like showing him around the locker room, and he's like, yeah, okay, and I'll see you guys at the commissary. We got a really good health plan. Like it's like he doesn't say that exactly, but it's like he's just giving them a tour of the evil base. And so there's a little bit of like an Austin Powers movie feel to it at sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the jokes and the bits were pretty funny and were timed pretty well, and it fit the movie. But I just feel like they just went too far into trying to get this storyline believable. It's like you doing this just makes it less believable.
I will say you said something earlier, Carl, which I want to come back to because I 100% agree. Knowing that he had stomach cancer is sad, but also I think makes it more impressive.
Yes.
Raul Sylvia kills it in this movie. He is the only person. Van Damme is bad. I mean, he does like a million leg kicks. Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of those dudes that opens every push door with his feet. Like he's just he loves showing off his legs. But Raul Sylvia knows exactly what movie he's in, and he's pitch perfect. Like he's so over the top.
Raul Julia.
I'm sorry. There's a Julia. My bad. Whoop. I wrote that down wrong. I do apologize,
dead,
especially
man.
the fact that this movie was dedicated to him. But there's that great scene where, like, he is a worthier villain, and there's no hero that's near as interesting or as cool to match the scenes that he's in. I was just waiting for his scenes. There's that. He's talking to Chun-Li, and she's like, what is it? She killed her father?
God.
Or her village. He killed her father when he was trying to take over her village, and her father rebelled and died. And then he goes, "For you, that was the worst day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday." And he delivers that.
No. He said, "Balrog coming to your town and blessing you with my presence was the most memorable moment of your life."
For me, it was Tuesday.
For me, it was just...
For me, it was Tuesday is the coldest thing I've ever... Like, that's a great line, and he delivers it perfectly. So, shout out to him. He holds up in this movie.
That line was savage. It was so fucking good.
You know what? Actually, if we can retroactively go back in pop culture, I have heard that before, and I was surprised that was from this movie. Like, that is a good line. I don't know if that's in the AFI Top 100 movie lines, but it should be. It should be like 55, I think.
It's in the Criterion collection of lines.
All right, let's talk about stats.
This is all you, Leonard. My laptop is broken down, but I'm going to say that I think the first Matrix made a ton of money.
Oh, it made
I'm
700.
sorry, Reloaded made a ton of money.
It made 700 and... I saw it when I was looking. $741.8 million.
Reloaded?
And it cost $150 million to make.
That's crazy. They made almost $1 billion back then. That's nuts.
Yeah. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of people watching that movie.
I mean, Carl doesn't even like The Matrix. He went to that movie.
And this is gonna I feel like prove my point later, just in a little bit of why this doesn't really feel like it doesn't fit the prompt, at least for me. IMDb 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 73% out of 73%. And then Google users, it's actually below what I would think it'd be. It's 87% of Google users.
Google users, man.
I'm Google users. Okay, so Street Fighter budget $35 million. It made $99.4 million, which I feel like
keep
is
it in the
success.
theater another week. They didn't like keep it in there. To
I know,
hit the
right? I feel like that's a success. Came out December 23rd. I'm sure it was competing with a lot of other movies. Anyways,
like Christmas movies of the time.
IMDb 4 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 10%. Google users, this is shocking to me, 78%.
Wow, can't even get Google users on board.
I know. Usually Google users
love everything. Google users love Geely.
That shows people don't know what the fuck they talking about.
So let's just talk about that. I mean, Matrix was a box office.
Can I ask you a follow-up question? Because you're the one with
toys.
The
Go
computer.
ahead.
Can you tell me what the box office for Matrix Revolutions was? Because, like I said, it was an unusual rollout plan with the sequels. They were 4 years after the original 1999 Matrix,
and then they came out like 6 months apart.
And they came out like 6 months apart. Like one came out in the summer and one came out in the winter, or something like that. But I believe the third Matrix movie did not make a ton of money. Comparatively.
Budget also $150 million, and it made 427.
That's a ton That's
Less.
$300 million less
a lot
than the
less.
sequel. And that will be my argument, is this movie came out, everyone saw it, and then how do you account for only 6 months later? And this is a movie that if you see the second one, you got to see the third one because it ends on a cliffhanger. But it made $300 million left. That speaks to me. The 720 that you're talking about from Reloaded, that's from The Matrix. People saw Reloaded and they're like, I don't need to see how this ends.
I for sure believe that plays a part in it, but I also think they shouldn't have released it 6 months apart. That was
Maybe
a terrible idea. I'm sure that plays a major part in
People
why
go to the movies once every 6 months, though. Theoretically, if you liked the second one, you'd be ready to go and see the third. Did your friends drag you to the third Matrix movie, Carl, or were you like, I'm out?
Nah, at that point, I would have fought them.
Matrix Revolution got 6.8 out of 10, 35% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's just fanboys, though.
And
6.8.
89% on Google users. Google
like it
users
more?
like Revolutions more than Reloaded.
Have you ever even seen The Matrix Revolutions, Carl?
I don't believe so.
Do you have any impulse to see it now that you've rewatched The Matrix Reloaded recently?
No, I have even less of an impulse to watch even the first Matrix. I don't want to see Blade. Now, the rave scene reminded me of Blade. I remember I was watching Blade with my mom.
All the blood comes down to the club.
Yeah, and the girl was the dude was getting head in the back, and my mom was like, "Cover your eyes," and a bunch of people laughed in the theater. It was very embarrassing.
You saw Blade in the theater with your mom?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
man,
Magic
Black
Johnson.
Lead.
Magic
Man, the whole
Johnson
family seeing
theaters.
that.
Yeah, Magic Johnson. We saw that at Magic Johnson when it first came out. Magic Johnson at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall.
All right, well,
I'm just saying, like, I couldn't get my mom to see any movie with me. I appreciate the relationship that your mom will go to the movie and then also be like, cover your eyes when the stuff gets...
my mom is the queen of cover your eyes. It's like, Mom, I'm 37 years old. I'm not 37, but it's like, I'm old as fuck. Like, come on, man. You know I'm fucking.
My mom used to rent movies because we didn't go to the theaters that much once I started watching movies by myself. Like when I was watching the Matrix movie, she wasn't going to come with me. But we would rent movies, and then she would more often than not, or a few times, rent movies that had nudity, but she didn't realize, like the Cider House Rules. And so then we're looking at Tobey Maguire's ass while he's having sex, and then my mom, like, there's a pause, and then my mom's just like, it's very natural. This is very natural. And I'm like, you're making it worse. Like, can we all just pretend we didn't see it? So that's my experience with moms in the movies.
I don't think I may have seen one. I can't think of a movie I've seen with my mom. Me and my mom don't see movies together. I was going to say we don't really have much of the same taste, but she had so many. We watched the movies at home together all the time. So
my mom likes the movies. So, like, my mom, that's the only time I would go to the movies was with my mom. Because I didn't like to go to the movies. She'd be like, come on, let's go to the movies.
Do you think it's possible you're not a movie guy because your mom was always going with you and covering your eyes in front of everybody?
No, we wouldn't see the same movies all the time. Like, we would, like, she would, like, there was a movie.
Oh, y'all would just go and see separate movies?
Yeah. So at Magic, you just buy a ticket and then you get a SAG discount. So, like, she would, like, get the SAG discount with her SAG card. And then she would go watch a movie like Twa 2, Pandora's Box. And I would go watch, like, Kung Fu Hustle.
Undercover Brother.
Yeah, some shit like that. Like, I would. Like, she would be like, that was like a good outing, like a good babysitting outing when my friends would come over or something like that.
Yeah.
And she would be like, I'm going to, like, y'all go to the movies. Or, like, and then I'm going to go watch some How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And y'all go watch whatever Jack Black is in at that point.
That's funny. I always went to movies with friends, but like their parents dropped us off. I would always just go with friends. And
I respect the logistical hustle for your mom there because it's that always seemed like a good idea. Like, I'm going to see this with my brother, and then my parents will see this, and then my little sister will see that. And then it's like, movies don't time out that way. It's like you wind up getting in, and one movie's 90 minutes, and then the other people are sitting in the lobby while someone else is watching Passion of the Christ for 2 hours, and then somebody else comes out, and they've just seen the third Lord of the Rings. And it's like, we should have come at different times.
But at Magic, you sneak into other movies because there's not somebody standing at each door.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, we've gotten to the end where we give our final arguments on why our movie fits the prompt, and you are going to tell us who won.
Leonard, I'm going to let you go first because I've been going first and losing.
Carl, just to let you know, this decision holds some weight. We do 9 episodes in a season, and the first person to get to 5 wins. wins the season, and then the loser gets punished. And we haven't
We haven't
decided
talked about
on
the
a
punishment
punishment
yet.
at
If
all.
Carl has ideas for how we can punish ourselves, then that's
We usually
fine,
punish,
but
like
we can
last
talk
last
about it.
season. I lost, and I had to watch a movie I said I would never watch, and that was The Green Lantern.
And you liked it.
The Green Mile.
I did not.
The Green
You said
Lantern.
The Green Mile? Oh, the Green Mile.
No, the Green Leonard is his. Did you know Leonard's favorite superhero is the Green Lantern? Were you
Really?
Yeah, that was my response. Really? Nobody's favorite superhero is the Green Lantern. But he liked the Green Lantern. He never wanted to see the Ryan Reynolds movie about it because he was worried that it would disgrace his favorite character. But then he lost the season series in the podcast, and he had to watch it. And it wasn't that bad. You survived.
It was fucking awful.
You survived.
I did survive.
So you'll have to come up with a movie for me to watch. Maybe it'll be Draft Day. I don't know
Draft
what
Day
the
is
punishment.
good. That's not a punishment. That's a treat.
But
Maybe
you
make me
acknowledge
watch
that
Mamma Mia
everybody-
again.
that
Jesus
a lot
Christ.
of people hate it.
Yeah,
if you
but
were
that's
to
because
submitted it.
I mean, people in our circle, like me and Leonard's circle, like we're surrounded by a bunch of lame asses, and so they're gonna like improv people don't like sports, and so like they're gonna be weird about a sports movie, but the movie's good.
Improv
like how
people
you
don't
don't
like
consider
sports, but
Quinn
they
an
love
improv
sports
person.
analogies. They love being like, oh man, when you get that scene, that was like hitting a buzzer beater. It's like, all right, it's not that serious, but
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to talk about why Street Fighter fits a prompt that movies everyone hates, but I love. Okay, after watching this movie, I don't know if I love it as much as I did as I was a child, but as a kid, I was all about it. I was the niche market they were marketing to, and it worked. Apparently, no one else liked it, but it was entertaining. It was fun. There were good jokes. It was a little convoluted in as far as the story, but knowing that they did this in the short amount of time that they did is wild to me. And that my man Bison had stomach cancer, damn. But I feel like Carl enjoyed it. I feel like The Matrix, it's not more so for Street Fighter, it's more against The Matrix. I feel like The Matrix isn't hated enough to fit the prompt. That's really it.
that's it.
That's it.
All right. All right. I feel like I'm fighting uphill here, but the prompt is movies that everyone hates, but we love, but I love in terms of The Matrix Reloaded. Carl, this isn't actually an open-ended question, so I don't know. But to my knowledge, I've never heard anyone say, I hate Street Fighter. I think Leonard went through the reviews. It's got bad reviews. It's poorly rated on IMDb. It made whatever money it made. But I've never, I'd say at worst, people forget about, it's kind of a forgotten movie, or it's lumped in with Mortal Kombat and Mario Brothers as just like the 90s they made video game movies. I don't know that there are people, it was pre the internet too, or at least pre-message boards, where there were people going online and being like, man, Street Fighter fucking ruined my year. Like, I can't believe I waited for this movie. I love that game. Street Fighter's trash. In fact, it sounds like, Carl, you enjoyed it a little bit, or at least as a bad movie. You were saying you like the humor, you like some of the things. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you even enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe you know a lot of people that didn't like it. I've never heard people didn't like it. I've heard people that aren't familiar with it or whatever. The Matrix Reloaded was trashed. Now, it made a lot of money. We've established it made $720 million. But then the third movie, which came out only 6 months later, and this movie ends with Keanu Reeves using the Force, using his Matrix powers outside of the Matrix. It's a pretty big cliffhanger. And then he goes into a coma. It is a cliffhanger movie. So even if you're just the completist, you're like, fuck, I got to come back for this movie. But it was so... it's so disappointed people. It so did not live up to the expectations of The Matrix, which is a classic movie. The Matrix is, one of the best movies of the 90s, depending on what you feel. It's a lot of people's favorite movie ever. And this movie comes out, and it's a disappointing. It was like a Star Wars prequel as a Matrix sequel. And so people hated on it. And people hated on the third one even more. Now, my argument is the second one's not as bad. The second one's a good time if you want to turn your brain off, see some white dudes with dreadlocks turn into ghosts, see Lawrence Fishburne fight on top of a truck, and if you like that rave scene, God bless you, go with God. But it's not a liked movie, and I have heard a ton of people including Carl when we texted him the pick, say like, man, I don't want to watch this movie. I understand Carl was joking, but I think that sentiment is real.
Yeah, joking.
And so I love it, but I recognize it's a flawed movie. It's a bad movie. It's like the middle train car, but the rest of the train's
middle
not
train
there.
car that almost made $1 billion.
It almost made $1 billion, but dude, stuff that's popular is hated all the time. It's the Star Wars prequels. They made a ton of money. Those movies
They
are
didn't
not.
make $714 million.
Let's look at what Phantom Menace made. But my point is, these movies inspire hate. I think Street Fighter inspires indifference or like a kind of hazy looking at it with rose-colored glasses. Oh yeah, I liked this at the time. Yeah, it's bad, but I don't hate it. How can I hate this movie? It's stupid. It's silly. It's fun. Whatever. Matrix Reloaded, it's like you wasted my time. You made a movie that I loved, and then you made a sequel that sucked. Yeah, Leonard just looked up the stats for Phantom Menace, and he doesn't want to say it because he knows it supports my argument. But
made
I
$1
think
billion.
it made $1 billion of Phantom Menace, and it's bad, and people hate that movie. So box office, you can throw that argument out the window. So Carl, I just say to you, I would respect your decision either way. But if it's a movie that people hate, I think I picked the better movie. And if it's a movie that I loved,
Hold
I
on.
talked about why I like
Was
it.
Phantom Menace the first one or the second one of the
Phantom Menace was the first one.
Oh, well, then that's why. It was. Everybody's waiting for a Star
Matrix
Wars
Reloaded
movie.
was the first sequel. Listen, man, I don't need to talk about Phantom Menace with
All
you.
right,
We'll be here all day.
You filibustered enough.
That's my argument.
Carl, you decide how you feel about the prompt. If you think the one you liked more, the one you hated more, whatever you want to make.
If
it's
you're
your
angry
decision.
at one of us for not understanding that you told us to watch Draft Day and he said don't watch it, you can hold that against somebody. That's fine.
All right, well, I am the judge here. And this is tough for me for a few reasons. One, Leonard and I are practically cousins. We're both from the Southeast. We both are huge fans of the New Orleans Saints.
Who that?
We both suffered a horrible loss last week. Not just because we lost. I could have taken the loss, but the fact that it was to Tom Brady makes it even
And in
extra.
possibly Breeze's last game, right?
I'm not
Yeah.
watching the game tomorrow. Fuck Tom Brady.
With that being said, also this is a time of civil unrest and unjust, and so it is hard for me to go against my own people.
This isn't sounding good for me.
But I got to give this dub to Quinn.
Oh my God!
Carl. Yes. Thank you, Carl.
And here's
Thank you for seeing reason.
your reasoning, your rebuttal at the end, your closing remarks, all that stuff I can do nothing but agree with.
Oh,
Because, and now I can come clean and say I did not finish the movie. It was that bad.
That's why I was like, when you said you liked my movie, I was like, damn it, I don't know if that's gonna help me win.
how far did you get? Can I ask? When did you even see the freeway chase, or were you like, no?
Yeah, I made it through most of it, but I was
All
just like, and I was like, that's why I was like, I'm going to YouTube. I gotta watch it. I cannot sit through this.
Now I feel less bad about not watching Draft Day.
And I had to rent it too. I had to pay for that.
Bro, I had to rent both these movies, and I was like, God damn it.
I could have driven the DVD outside your door. I got it out.
I was just like, oh my God. And then and yes, the biggest point you made was for them to come out with such a good movie. I respect The Matrix for what it is. I respect the points that it brings up. I respect the timeliness of it. It was kind of ahead of its time and everything. And this movie was bad. It was bad. And that's unfortunate for people who like the movie, because let's think about other like trilogies and things like that. Back to the Future. All three of those movies to me are very good. Men in Black. I like all three of those. A lot of people don't.
Men in
The
Black
third
2
one.
gets a lot of hate. I enjoyed it when I saw it.
I thought it was funny. Rosario Dawson looking like a whole ass snack in it. Like,
What about the Friday series?
Friday. A lot of people don't like this. I liked Friday After Next more than I like Next Friday.
Oh, next Friday's my favorite of the three.
But it was, it was just so bad, and I definitely hated it. And if you love that movie, but with Street Fighter, for what it was, for the type, like, yes, if you got Siskel and Ebert sitting there watching that movie and they have no interest in the video game, and like for what it was, for the cultural phenomena that it was, for how long it took them to make it, and for what that movie was supposed to be. It was meant to be campy. It was meant to be cheesy. It had clear comedic moments in it. Like when they got locked, when what's the sumo guy's name?
E Honda.
Yeah, when E Honda and Balrog got locked up and he was like, "Give me your hand." He's like, "Nah, we only been in jail 2 hours."
Oh,
that's a funny joke.
He's like, "Talk to me in a month. Talk to me in a month."
Yeah. Like, and he was getting whipped and wasn't nothing. Like, you found out that was his, like, that little stuff like that. Like, it was supposed to be for preteens. It was supposed to be what it was. Raul Julia, in his last performance, gave it his all. There were a lot of nods to the game, like the freeze frame at the end. Like, when they all did the actual poses that they do. Jean-Claude Van Damme's terrible American accent. Not even trying.
He's not even trying.
Literally, the only thing that was American about his accent was the fact that he was speaking English at certain times. And Kylie Minogue, who's been in the game for a minute, legendary. It's a bad movie, technically, but I don't think nobody's watching it being like, I was looking for a film to enjoy. And so I went to see Street Fighter. No, those people aren't watching it. The people who that movie was for watch it, and then maybe they watch it now that they're 30 years old and they go, "Oh man, that shit sucks." But like yeah, I think you take this one, Quinn, because yours fits the prompt more.
I appreciate it. I needed it.
That puts us at 3-3.
Yep.
Damn it.
I clawed back to even.
I wanted to get win number 4, so that means all I had to do was win 1 of 3 in the next 3 episodes.
The only thing I could think was if Carl hates this movie, then all I have to do is convince him that I like it. And when he told, we didn't find out till after he said, but when he didn't even watch it, I had this W in the bag before I sat down in my chair.
I watched it.
I appreciate you watching 70% of it. This may be the only time I'll ever win when someone turns off my pick, but I'm happy that it's in a winning effort.
I enjoyed it, so I was like, "Oh man, this was great, man."
When you said that the third one made $300 million less only 6 months later, I was like, "Oh, that's all." Yeah, that also helps. You trying to build a wall with that box office numbers, and then you looked at how much a Phantom Menace made in your hard drive. Carl, thank you so much for doing this. Not just because you gave me the win, but for bearing with us for the miscommunications, the misdirects, the bad movies that we made you watch. We really appreciate your time.
It was very fun.
Carl, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at DammitCarl, DammitCarl. On my podcast, The Flagrant Ones, it's a Patreon podcast, so you will have to reach down into your pockets and give me money, but you will get more bang for your buck than you will if you rent The Matrix Reloaded.
Guys, please give Carl money. He had to rent both of these movies.
So listen to The Flagrant Ones on Patreon. Also, Carl Calls His Cousin, which is a podcast between me and my cousin Hassan Williams. And
word, okay.
Yeah, and that's where you can find me. I'll be in these streets too.
Yeah, he be in these streets. Yeah, man, Carl is the podcast king. Maybe one day I'll get on one of these shows.
We were excited when we found out Carl was willing to do this, and we were like, we gotta come correct. This is gonna be a professional operation. It's gonna be seamless. It's gonna be smooth. Then we sit down. My laptop breaks. We didn't watch the movie that Carl gave us. We haven't been able to record.
No, we did.
I won't be surprised if none of the audio is recorded.
We did it. Well, my audio is being recorded, so y'all at least have me chiming in every now and then. But the Zoom technically right now is not being recorded. If you look at it.
Yeah, when Quinn set up the Zoom, so when his laptop crashed, we're not going to have any good video, but it's okay.
People did not, the fates, whatever, if you believe in God, they did not want us to record a podcast about The Matrix Reloaded and Street Fighter on the same week, but we personally...
you could have just told me. I pay for Zoom because I had to use it for work, and so I could have recorded this.
Throw that on the list of things that we fucked up.
Let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to be doing gambling. The best gambling movies.
We are actually picking good movies.
Yeah, I'm excited about both these movies. These are probably the best matchup of movies for the genre. I would say Life and Wedding Crashers was also a great combo for comedies. But for this prompt, I feel like these are both very good movies. We'll have Brianna Cedar on the show. We also had to start discussing punishment.
Yeah, I think we'll come back. We'll sit on it, and we'll figure out who's going to have to do what, because now it's neck and neck. So we'll see. But until that time, thank you.
Hot sauce on ice cream.
Hot sauce on ice cream.
Oh no,
That has to be a part of it. Is one of you lactose intolerant?
No. I'll be farting.
Yeah, it has to be some ice cream flavor that nobody likes, and then like rum raisin, and you got to put like Cholula on it.
Shit, I think we have to do that now. I think out of respect to Carl, I think we can make Carl two promises.
That for sure will be part of it.
One, that at some point after the dust clears and we have a winner, Leonard and I will watch Draft Day. And two, the loser, whatever movie they have to watch it eating ice cream with hot sauce. So, Carl, you've given us more than just your time and your watches. You've given us a good punishment.
There you go.
Until next week, though, we will. Nobody can go to the cinema anymore, Leonard. My sign-off feels bogus.
We'll see you in Chandaloo.
We'll see you. Oh, we didn't even talk about Shabaloo. Is it Shabaloo or Shadaloo?
The
fictional Southeast Asian city Shabaloo, where this whole Shadaloo. See you at Shadaloo.
Shadaloo.
We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks so much.